Hello students, it's story time again. Today let me tell you the story of a princess, the Little Mermaid. Once upon a time in the faraway underwater kingdom, the Little Mermaid lived with her father, the Sea King, her old grandmother, and her 5 older sisters. They were 6 beautiful children, but the little princess was the prettiest of them all. Her skin was as clear and delicate as a rose petal, and her eyes as blue as the deepest part of the ocean. When you have reached your 15th year, said the grandmother, you will have permission to rise up out of the sea, to sit on the rocks in the moonlight, while the great ships are sailing by. And then you will see both forests and towns. When the sisters became old enough, each of them visits the upper world, one at a time, every 365 days. As each returns, the Little Mermaid listens longingly to their various descriptions of the world of humans. When the Little Mermaid's turn came, she rose up to the surface. The sea was calm and the air was mild and fresh. She saw a large ship with 3 masts that lay calmly on the water, and sailors that sat on the deck or amongst the rigging. There was music and song on board, and as the darkness came on, 100 coloured lanterns were lit. The princess noticed the flags of all nations waving in the air. The Little Mermaid swam close to the cabin windows, and now and then, as the waves lifted her up, she could look in through the clear glass window panes and see a number of well-dressed people within. Among them was a young prince, the most beautiful of all, with large black eyes. His birthday was being celebrated with much rejoicing. The sailors were dancing on deck, but when the prince came out of the cabin, more than 100 rockets rose in the air, making it as bright as day. She watched the crowd from afar and fell in love with him. The next day, a violent storm hit, sinking the ship. However, the Little Mermaid saved the prince from drowning. She delivered his unconscious body to the shore near a temple. She did not wait long before she saw a young girl approach the spot where he lay. She seemed frightened at first, but only for a moment. Then she fetched a number of people to help. From afar, the mermaid saw that the prince came to life again. she was glad, but worried at the same time, because the prince would never see the Little Mermaid, or would even realize that it was her who had originally saved his life. Coming home, the Little Mermaid became melancholic. She asked her grandmother if humans could live forever. The grandmother explained that humans had a much shorter lifespan than a mermaid's 300 years. But humans have an eternal soul that lives on in heaven, while mermaids turn to sea foam at death and cease to exist. The Little Mermaid, longing for the prince and an eternal soul, she swam away silently out of the palace to visit the sea witch, who lived in a dangerous part of the ocean. The princess begged the witch to help her to have the chance to be with the man she loved. In no time, the witch warned her evilly. Your tail will then disappear and shrink up into what mankind calls legs, and you will feel great pain, as if a sword were passing through you. You still have the same floating gracefulness of movement, and no dancer will ever tread so lightly. But at every step you take, it will feel as if you are treading upon sharp knives, and that the blood must flow. If you will bear this, I will help you. The witch then handed her a potion that gave her legs in exchange for her beautiful voice, since the Little Mermaid had the most enchanting voice in the entire world. The witch warned the Little Mermaid one last time. Once you become a human, you will never be able to return to the sea. If the prince won't love you and marry someone else, you will never have an immortal soul. Your heart will break, and lastly, you will become foam on the crest of the waves. I will take it all, the princess said. After she agreed to the arrangement, the Little Mermaid swam up to the surface near the prince's castle and drank the potion. The liquid felt like a sword piercing her body, and she passed out on the shore. She was found by the prince, who was mesmerized by her beauty and grace. And even though she could not say any words, most of all, he liked to see her dance. And she danced for him despite suffering excruciating pain with every step. Soon, the Little Mermaid became the prince's favorite maid and accompanied him on many of his outings. But he did not fall in love with her. One day, the prince's parents said that they had found him a princess who was suitable for him. She was from the neighboring country, and the prince would have to marry her. The day the other princess showed up, everyone was impressed by her beauty. Her skin was delicately fair, and beneath her long dark eyelashes, her laughing blue eyes shone with truth and purity. At this moment, the prince said that he recognized her as the woman from the temple who, in his memories, saved him when the ship was wrecked. The prince declared his love for her, and the royal wedding was announced at once. The Little Mermaid was depressed because she could not tell him the truth of her love for him. She knew that she had no chance to be with him anymore. That night, the mermaid was sitting on the ship deck and looking towards the east for the first blush of morning, for that first ray of dawn that would bring her death. She saw her sisters rising out of the ocean. Their long, beautiful hair waved no more in the wind and had been cut off. The sisters said they had traded their precious hair with the witch to get a knife that could make her a mermaid once again, and she would live out her full life in the ocean with her family. All she had to do was kill the prince by stabbing him in his heart. At the crack of dawn, the princess sneaked into his room. However, the Little Mermaid could not bring herself to kill the sleeping prince lying with his new wife. She threw the dagger and herself off the ship into the water just as the sun rose. Her body dissolved into foam, but instead of ceasing to exist, she felt the warm sun and discovered that she had turned into a luminous and ethereal spirit. As the Little Mermaid flew up into the atmosphere, she was greeted by other daughters of the air. They told her she had become like them because of her selflessness. She was given the chance to earn her own soul by doing good deeds for mankind for 300 years, after which the Little Mermaid would one day rise up to heaven. The end.